The FIA is currently selecting the Formula 1 tyre supplier for the years 2025 to 2027. F1 may have to find a new supplier. According to the latest rumours, Bridgestone has also agreed to participate. What changes have been made to the upcoming tyres and when they'll be available? All will be answered today in this video. So, without further ado, let's get straight into this. The Japanese tyre company will use this to pursue a return to Formula 1. From 1997 to 2010, the tyre manufacturer was a Formula 1 supplier, even becoming the sole supplier after Michelin withdrew in 2006. The deadline for tyre suppliers to sign up was May 15th, and motorsporttotal.com reports that Bridgestone is among them. The FIA and the manufacturer refuse to confirm anything, but the media reports that several sources have confirmed the news. Bridgestone sporting director Aichi Suzuki has previously stated that he is always interested in expanding his involvement in motorsport, including Formula 1. A company spokesperson stated unequivocally that they would not comment on the news. However, Pirelli's participation is certain. The Italian tyre manufacturer won the tyre contract for 2020 to 2023 at the expense of South Korean Hankook. Because of the coronavirus pandemic, this agreement has been extended for another year, until 2024. The upcoming agreement from 2025 to 2027 includes an option to extend through 2028. When websites such as GP Blog contacted Bridgestone, a representative stated, "Bridgestone has a heritage of over 60 years in motorsports, and we will continue to promote sustainable global motorsports activities. F1 is one of the many options being considered." According to sources, Bridgestone has pledged as part of its bid that it can produce a tyre that allows drivers to push harder for longer periods of time. Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, and Nico Hülkenberg are the only active F1 drivers who have driven on Bridgestone tyres. They were used from 2007 to 2010, after which the company exited F1. According to a leading driver, the two multiple champions have been vocal within the driver group in expressing their approval of the way Bridgestone tyres behaved when the company was last in F1, particularly the ability to drive flat out throughout Grand Prix without fear of the tyres overheating. Some senior figures, however, are skeptical of the wisdom of switching suppliers, arguing that Pirelli has been a loyal partner of F1 for more than a decade, has been effective and supportive, and there is no guarantee that a replacement tyre company would do a better job. Some point to the extreme demands placed on tyres by modern F1 cars, which are vastly different from those encountered during Bridgestone's tenure in the sport from 1997 to 2010. The cars are 200 kilograms heavier and produce significantly more downforce, implying that the forces imposed on tyres during cornering are significantly greater. Others who support a Bridgestone bid have told BBC Sport that there is no reason to believe a company with such a strong reputation in motorsport would have difficulty producing the tyres required. Another issue is the relatively short timeframe involved. Pirelli's current contract expires at the end of 2024, leaving a new manufacturer with only 18 months to develop the equipment and logistical capacity to supply a season of 22 or more Grand Prix. According to a source close to Bridgestone, one reason for the company's interest in F1 could be the sport's growing popularity in the US market, where the company wants to boost its profile. Bridgestone already supplies tyres to the IndyCar series in the United States under the Firestone brand. The FIA has received bids from both Pirelli and Bridgestone. The governing body is conducting a technical assessment, which is expected to be completed in the coming weeks before the companies enter commercial talks with F1, which could take several months. No one in F1 would discuss Bridgestone's bid with BBC Sport on the record for commercial or sporting reasons. Bridgestone has a 60-year heritage in motorsports, and we are a partner in many motorsports events, a Bridgestone spokesperson said. "We will continue to advance and refine our technologies by competing in top-tier races around the world that demand top-tier tyre performance. F1 is regarded as one of several options." Several drivers have discussed the impact of Pirelli tyre overheating on overtaking during the first half of this season. As soon as you are behind a car and lose a bit of traction, a bit of braking grip, you start slipping the tyre, and that extra slip means the next corner you have less grip, and then you have a bit less, and you are only able to follow for 1 or 2 laps, and then you have to back off. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz explained, "The tyres still get overheated quite heavily if you follow cars," Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso added. The issue is that you must take a wise decision when you want to be too close to a car in front of you. The drivers acknowledge that Pirelli has improved this tyre characteristic over the years, and that it has taken another step forward with introducing lower profile tyres on 18-inch wheels in 2022, along with new technical rules for the cars. However, they claim that the fundamental issue of managing the tyres to keep the temperature below a certain limit or suffer a significant performance loss remains. One driver mentioned the tyres used in European and American endurance racing categories. He admitted that the cars are slower, but the Michelins used by many teams in sports cars can be driven hard for the duration of much longer races. They still lose performance as they wear, a phenomenon known as degradation and a requirement of F1 tyres due to the need for pit stops, but they do so while allowing the drivers to push to the limit. Another driver stated that the drivers as a group were open to the idea of a new supplier but had yet to determine which one it should be. Another issue that drivers are concerned about is the Pirelli tyres' limited operating temperature range and the difficulty in getting them into that window. Drivers may need more performance as a result of their inability to understand the operating requirements for a tyre fully. They believe is too sensitive and difficult to predict in this area. We just got confirmation from the FIA that we are approved as a bidder and we can start negotiations with F1, Pirelli Motorsport Director Mario Isola told BBC Sport. It is not a secret that we wish to keep. We want to continue to provide a tyre that meets the expectations of all stakeholders. It is sometimes difficult to agree with everyone because they hold opposing views. Drivers prefer one type of tyre while F1 prefers another. However, in the past, we had many discussions with all stakeholders to find the best compromise for the sport. I believe we share the same goals as the FIA and Formula 1. I believe we delivered a good product, especially with the 18-inch tyres, and the drivers are pleased. There are occasional complaints, but this is to be expected when you are a sole supplier. When asked about drivers' observations that tyre overheating behind other cars was still a significant factor in making overtaking more difficult than F1 desired with the new regulations, Isola responded, "This is something we have to understand." Last year, with the new cars and the 18-inch tyres, the general comment was, much better. We are not losing downforce, we don't have overheating when we follow, so it's a little strange that they're complaining about overheating with almost all of the compounds now. Bridgestone entered the sport in 1997 when tyre company competition was permitted. Now, a single supplier is mandated and made an immediate impression on incumbent Goodyear. Damon Hill, for example, came within a whisker of winning the 1997 Hungarian Grand Prix in an uncompetitive hours before a car problem in the closing laps because his Bridgestones had a significant advantage over the Goodyears on the day. McLaren, a top team at the time, switched to Bridgestones for 1998 and dominated the first half of the season before Goodyear, which supplied rivals Ferrari, improved its product, and Michael Schumacher was able to challenge McLaren's Mika Häkkinen for the title before the Finn eventually won. After switching to Bridgestones in 1999, Ferrari dominated F1 for 5 years against Williams and McLaren cars, which were now running Michelins after the French company entered F1 in 2000. Michelin, which left F1 in 2006, flirted with the idea of returning several times during Pirelli's tenure, but no agreements could be reached between the French company and F1. Hankook, which supplies the all-electric Formula E series, bid the last time the tender was open, but F1 chose to stick with Pirelli. Hankook was an outside bet at the time because it lacked significant experience at the highest level of motorsport. Bridgestone's bid comes from a company with a very different, much stronger reputation, and it represents the most serious threat to Pirelli's tenure in the sport since it first entered F1. Let's see what happens in the coming GP. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, it really helps a lot.